Islands in the stream. That's what we are.
We got to make it quick because there's a starship on my tail that's getting ready to fire. So
Ah,
yeah,
That's all right. If you go into the nebula and come out behind them.
what if they have the portal device?
yeah. Have you not learned anything?
Yeah. All you got to do is when you fire, just get out of the way.
There was a logistics question I had about one of those. I think it was when the Shrike fired on the Enterprise. I think wouldn't the fire like hit the Shrike?
You mean the Titan?
Well, like when the
I thought it was odd that the Titan fell into the hole the second time. It's like, there's a portal going to open up, so it just go somewhere else.
You know what Einstein's theory is? Or what his quote was? You're doing the same thing over and over that's not going to work.
I don't think Einstein said that.
I'm not sure anybody actually said that. I mean, lots of people have said it, but I think it's a
Data said it. How about that?
Oh, well then, there you go.
Moriarty said that.
Einstein said E equals Mc2.
Which he was clearly referring to a Happy Meal.
Or what was the one? The hot side stays hot, the cool side stays cool.
The McDLT.
The McDLT. There you go.
I've had a couple of them.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Clinton, I'm ready for somebody to go into hit a replicator and ask for a McDLT. Hey, why don't they
lower decks?
Yeah, well, you think about your book again with the Sheridans and the Hiltons and the American Express cards.
Check it out. The McRib never expires. It's always it's always
the McTwinkie.
The replicator only has it every once in a while.
Alrighty. I think I'm set on my end. We've got two stories that I've written out stuff for. If there's another story somebody wants to grab to, just kind of read on the fly. There's, I think, 4 more stories below the 2 written ones.
I think we'll be good. We can go with 2 stories and then jump into our review.
Right. Let's see. What have I got there? I've got 60.
Just two stories and 2 episodes, and we'll still fight to keep this under an hour.
Yeah, funny how that works, isn't it?
I do listen to our episodes back every once in a while.
I'm glad.
It's kind of fun. Huh?
I'm glad.
You don't?
I said I'm glad.
No, I'm asking. You don't?
I make sure that they get downloaded properly.
You guys don't listen to your own stuff?
No, I have 10 billion other podcasts to listen to. I already listened to this one when it was being recorded.
And that's what makes me a better podcaster.
Well, I
Does
guess
it really? Does it really?
I mean, I listen to the show that I have to do all the effects and all that kind of, to make sure I didn't mess that up. But this one, I'm hoping that everything worked fine.
Todd Cochran was talking on the New Media Show. He was reading some stats, and he's talking about how I forget the percentage, but how many people actually listen to a podcast that were listen to podcasts 10 hours or more a week. I was thinking, yeah, that's me, but it's just my own shows.
That counts, I guess.
It doesn't count.
We'll say it counts. How about that?
I spend more than 10 hours a week producing podcasts.
Yeah, right? Tell me about it.
I'm on my second one today.
I'm soaking in it right now. There we go.
I'm soaking in a podcast.
That was one of my
favorites. About last year's Dragon Con the other day, and I thought about how I wandered into your panel. So Valencia walks into a panel and goes, "Ow, that hurt."
Yeah.
Oh,
promptly left. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, Valencia. That's had to put up with that.
She kind of asked for it. I don't.
All right, folks. Shall we begin?
Yeah. Next time, stick around, Valencia.
Hey, Google Docs
messing with
changed their toolbar a little bit.
Oh, they changed the whole interface. Where have you
Yeah.
been?
Well, I was looking at it earlier today. It didn't look
Really?
like this.
Oh,
With the oval
yeah.
toolbar?
They changed the whole thing. The
Hmm.
main interface too. Now,
Interesting.
when you click on a folder, it checks it. If you double click on it, it opens it. So
Oh.
they
What
did
kind
change
of
that.
web interface do you have to double click? That's just wrong.
You know what? People have done a lot worse.
Well,
People
she
have done.
does admit that she enjoyed our panel.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
She lies for us.
Or she enjoyed the bad humor I just
Yeah.
made. I don't know. It was kind of vague, so I'm going to take either
Right.
one.
Take the win. Take the win.
All right. Shall we begin, gentlemen?
Yes, we shall.
Going over to the recording screen.
Old
and
friends. Sorry.
what? Now you sound like
Moriarty.
Xi Jinping and Putin.
No.
No, that's dear friends.
That's no.
They refer to each other as dear friend. I would have just gone, hey,
Did you not watch tonight's episode?
the ice episode?
Tonight's episode.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
He's
Yes,
doing
I
his
did.
Moriarty. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
I just don't have the cool
that's
hat.
how far
and
off
hair.
it was.
I just don't have that cool hat, rather.
Okay, you ready to record?
Yeah.
I was born ready, and it's been downhill ever since. Here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 134 for Friday, March 24th, 2023. Coming up in this episode, do we have a date? The sound of music. Picard continues to get the band back together. All that and more right now on The Topic is Trek. Unlimited data. Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another thrill-packed edition of The Topic is Trek. I am Clinton, one of your co-hosts here on the show. And as I always point out, in order to be a co-host, there have to be other hosts. So, beaming in to join me from parts unknown with the hip new catchphrase that all the kids are talking about out there, it's Mr. Craig Stepp.
Ruh-roh.
Let's see. You don't have a universal translator. You don't know what that means, so it could work out.
That means no, I ain't gonna say it.
No, okay. Leave that to the people on Star Trek to do.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And also beaming in to join us is Mr. Chuck Tomasi.
Hello, and a note that the title of the show is Unlimited Data, but I counted on the screen on your opening card. There were 6.
Well, but they go off the side. You see,
There's more to
like
come.
one of those vanishing perspective things.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's more to come.
And Craig, we really got to work on your special effects on the video. You didn't even like beam in. There was just a sound effect.
Maybe I should do like this,
sparkling.
like beam in, come. Yeah,
His standing desk just raises up so he appears in the frame.
that's right.
And you hear the ka-clunk, 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 ka-clunk.
I'll just do it like this. That's right.
Well, gentlemen, I hope you had a good couple of weeks while we were off. Anything exciting happen in the world of Trek for you guys? Get any new clothing, props, or anything?
Well, actually, I did. Oh, go ahead,
Oh.
Chuck. Were you gonna say something?
I had a birthday, and Craig got me a very nice new soldering iron,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
which arrived while we were recording Technorama.
I made him stop the show. Well, you were there, Clinton, weren't you?
My
you weren't
birthday
there.
Yes.
not part of those 3
Yeah, you were
days.
there. Yeah, I made him go outside and out to the check the door.
There's nothing like recording a podcast and someone says, "Get off the microphone."
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's funny. So how do you
So
like it?
Yeah,
It works very well.
Future.
I have tested it very extensively, putting an RJ45 block onto a printed circuit board and putting some headers on the same board. It works very well. It's nice and light, nice and small, and does the job quite well.
Good.
Thank you.
Most excellent. And I have never shown you guys this. At Christmas time, I got we have a Yankee swap type of thing,
Yes.
and I got a little television set.
I saw those online.
Right. So this one, let's see if I can get this to work properly.
And all it plays is
I see myself in there.
If I bring this up, it's gonna be a mess.
Messing with the green screen.
So let's try to do this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. And if you could hear any of that, but let's.
Awesome.
We got a little video that shows at the same time.
It's a teeny version of a floor standing console TV.
And you can change.
That's sweet.
You can change the channel with it. Let's see if I can get that to work here. It's not.
And at 11 p.m. it plays the national anthem and goes to static.
So it has about it has several clips in there from the show, and then
that's cool.
When you go to turn it off.
That's about the sound quality I got out of my TV when I was a kid.
It sounds about right.
Very nostalgic.
That's awesome. That's very cool. I saw that online, and I saw some people with that, like I said, that same TV, but it was in in a miniature diorama or something.
Yeah, it comes with a little backdrop of a Klingon ship.
That's pretty cool. I did pick up, because Chuck picked on me about having the Voyager style comm badge. So I went ahead and picked up the TNG one.
TNG one.
I got the TNG one. It's the magnetic one, from QMX, I think it is. And what's cool is I did not realize this one came with, I got it on my bag, but it's a miniature one that's actually a stick pin.
Wait a minute. Do you have a TNG uniform?
I do. The red one.
Your lower decks.
No, the red one.
Oh, okay. You're right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The red and black.
Yeah. I just had the one comm badge, that's all. But I got this one, and there's a smaller version, which is like I said, a stick pin, and I just put it on my bag, so I got it with me all the time.
Very cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. We haven't done show and tell before.
I know.
No. we should do.
And there's this nice mug, and and this brush that I use to get dust off my keyboard. Everyone.
No.
Not very Star Trek there.
And a pen.
No,
it's
that's all you need and nothing more. Yes.
It's a brush made from real hair from Imras.
Hey, I was just wondering, and I think I already just answered my question, but in the TNG universe or in Star Trek, do they still write in cursive?
I don't recall seeing it.
Well, in TOS, Kirk signs the clipboard.
Right, you can tell he's like, kind of.
Well, actually, as I was saying that, I remember Picard writing out those cards. Thank you.
Ah, that's true. So he was going really old because an ink well with a pen
fountain
and
pen.
Everything. Yeah.
I was just thinking, everybody complains, oh, they don't teach kids how to write cursive anymore. Well, do they even know that in the Star Trek universe?
That's how old Picard is.
Yeah, actually, William Shatner was writing a big X for Kirk.
Now stop that. Well, gentlemen, we need to get on to the main portion of our program. So, of course, it is time to start Subspace Chatter. But in order to do that, we have to check in with Charlie X. So, Charlie, is it okay to go ahead with Subspace Chatter? Charlie, you sound so different. I'm not sure how to take that. Maybe he's got
Charlie,
a cold or something.
was channeling his inner Homer or something.
Got a little hay fever going on there. All right. I don't know. I think you need to see a doctor, Charlie, about that. I just don't know what to do.
One person's laughing. That kind of gives away the guilt, doesn't it?
Maybe. All right, Chuck, why don't you hit us with the first story?
All righty. While speaking at a recent event at MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Strange New Worlds co-showrunner Akiva Goldsman seemed to jump the gun a bit when it came to an announcement about the premiere for season 2 of the series. He also said a bit more than maybe he should have about season 3. Today or tomorrow, we're announcing the air date of the second season, which we filmed like 17 years ago. And you'd be really surprised because we just went all over the place. And we just started filming on a third season now. Well, as of this recording, Paramount Plus has yet to announce either of these things. In fact, we don't have a premiere date for any of the 4 remaining Trek series. We do, however, know that Discovery's 5th and final season will premiere sometime in 2024, but that's about it. We have the link to the entire Beyond the Cradle 2023 event bookmarked to Akiva Goldsman's panel over in the show notes for episode 134, Unlimited Data, over at the topic is Trek.com.
Yeah, I was talking about this with Kreg a couple of days ago, and I said, well, I had seen an article in a online kind of newsletter. I think it's called Hollywood North. It's about filming in Canada. And they had announced that and this is even before Akiva's talk, that they had all their shooting permits for season 3 of Strange New World. So it kind of hinted that, yeah, we're probably getting that season 3.
Yeah, I saw that picture with him and Anson Mount, and it said something, and it just a little blurb, season 3. I went, whoa. They're already working on season 3? I was like, wow, that somebody jumped the gun on that.
Oops.
Well, cat's out of the bag. Why the cat was in the bag in the first place, I have no idea, but it's out now.
I was going to say, who didn't think that was going to happen anyway?
Well, you know what we always say to that.
Good news, everyone.
I thought you were going to say, where?
Screams on the show. It's weird.
Know, right?
That's Charlie X.
Oh man, Charlie, that condition is really getting to you now.
He's getting really good at impersonations.
I know, right? Yeah. All right. So we talked a lot on the topic of Trek about the amazing music in this season of Star Trek Picard. In our last episode, we said that there wasn't any soundtrack available yet for Picard, of course. To find out if there would be, I went to Twitter and I went straight to the source. I figured, what the heck, So I tweeted Terry Metalis, and I said, you guys are killing it with Star Trek Picard. I hear music from all over the Star Trek spectrum in this. Is there any chance we'll get a soundtrack after the series? And he went on and on and on, gave me this big, long dissertation about everything. And then he said, yes. So he got back to me really quick with that small yes. And we're not alone in wanting this. Apparently, a lot of other people have been asking this. So fans everywhere have been asking the cast about it. So much of the credit, goes to the composers Stephen Barton and Frederick Wideman. And they went through nearly every Star Trek TV series, movie, picking out pieces and references. And Barton said, we had free reign to use tunes, but we wanted to use them as precious gems and not just a Star Trek wallpaper. There were times where I'm staying very close to the Goldsmith orchestrations or Horner's in particular, but also times where we were reimagined it. And here's a fun fact. Jerry Goldsmith was actually Gene Roddenberry's first choice to compose the music for the original Star Trek pilot, The Cage.
Ooh.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. That would have included writing the show's theme music. Due to other projects, Goldsmith had to decline. However, he recommended another music pro, often worked with Goldsmith as a music arranger. Who was it?
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
No, close. It's Alexander Courage. So, thank you, Jerry.
Yeah. Also, it's very interesting to think about that fact of what would that theme have sounded like if it had been Jerry's.
Oddly enough, it would have sounded exactly the same.
Well, you know what? The universe has a way of making things work the way they're supposed to be. And I can't imagine it be any other way because it's not.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
That sounds a little like the other show we've done, but that's all too wagon trainy for us.
But it's Wagon Train to the Stars. That's Bonanza.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to hear. Yeah, you can hear that they mixed up some stuff, but then they threw some things in verbatim, from the Star Trek. I just love. I mentioned on the last show, just listen to the Star Trek soundtracks, any of them, any of the music, and it's beautiful. If you really listen to it on headphones, it's great.
Just sit right back and hear a tale
So,
of a little ship.
Doing that research for that little bit about Jerry Goldsmith, I came up with a lot of wild things I didn't know about him. He wrote the theme song to The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I did.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
And when you go to the movie theater and you go to see a Universal picture and the globe comes up and the word Universal wraps around,
Yeah.
he wrote that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I can hear that.
So it's a lot of stuff in there that Jerry did, and of course he did plenty of work for Star Trek as well. It's good to hear a lot of it again in Star Trek Picard.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to be cutting it there on our Subspace Chatter, but we have a lot of stories that we didn't get a chance to cover, and we've got links to. I guess I'll shift some of these things around. So I guess we have 64 additional stories, and they range all the way back to Star Trek, the original series, all the way down to, I've got a section about Actor Watch, and there's some articles there. One of the articles is about a new DC comic series that's in the Superman universe, I guess.
Okay.
And it's written by Michael Dorn.
Really? Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check out for that.
So
I think we have 59 stories. Number 3 is blank.
Oh, well, we should. Well, I'm going to put some of the ones from the top down the bottom. It
looks like somebody's cutting our news section short because they think the show's going a little long. I get the hint. Right. Yeah. I get it.
Right.
But with all that said, it's time for my favorite part of the show, and that's where I get to say, I don't know how he's going to reply to this, but goodbye, Charlie.
I want to stay.
We have an imposter aboard.
Spock knows something that we don't.
Yeah.
We do. I don't know.
He always does.
All right. But now it's time to head out on our main mission with an appropriate sound effect.
You are in error.
No. Here, we'll just do
that.
There, traditional.
Here.
Brilliant. All right. So we're going to be talking about episodes 5 and 6 of Star Trek Picard. And I will have Chuck, why don't you read the information about the first one? We're going to take these one at a time and give our reviews on them after each one of them. So start us off.
Alrighty. Star Trek Picard. Season 3, episode 5, titled Imposters, written by Cindy Appel and Chris Derrick, directed by Dan Liu. Caught by Starfleet and facing court-martial, paranoia grows as Picard struggles to uncover whether a prodigal crewman from his past has returned as an ally or an enemy hell-bent on destroying them all.
Ooh, very impressive there. This is Ro's return. And as a lot of people have said in the past, hey, there was no body when she was presumed dead. So no body means still alive someplace.
Yep.
And we'll get to know about bodies in the next episode, but that's another story.
When she started walking up on, when she started walking towards him on the hallway, I was like, who is that? And it took me like 2 beats and I was like, oh my gosh. I cannot believe that she showed up. I had no idea.
One of the things is that they made her Bajoran ridges a lot less defined.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah.
I don't know why, because I mean they're there, so they had to apply that makeup, and I don't know.
I did not see her character coming a mile away. That is not one that we predicted when. Even way back when they said, hey, we're bringing back Picard, name all the characters you want to see on the show. I would have expected, a Barclay before Ro Laren.
I know, but I expected him. I honestly expected him at some point. But yeah, I didn't see her coming until she was walking down the hallway, and I was like, "What? Wow,
All right.
that was
Well,
amazing. That was a
let's try
nice
to.
surprise."
It was. Well, let's try to roll through the episode a little bit here. Now we start off with first of all, we start off with a couple of nice classic TOS type pings as we pull back and we see the bridge of the Titan, and we actually get to see some interplay between the members of the bridge crew that are not the A team, if you will, but I mean, it's all the other people on the bridge talking and working
Oh yeah.
together, which is nice. But then Jack Crusher has to come in and spoil everything by killing everybody.
It was
You know,
postal, yeah. And
Again.
he had the red stuff on his face and the red eye, and you could hear that echoing voice again, which sounds like Beverly. Come home.
Now, the thing I didn't understand in this opening part is that we have the interaction on the bridge before he shows up. And if this is in his head, is he seeing himself not being on the bridge, but coming up in the turbo lift, and he doesn't see himself? I mean,
I think it was to throw the viewers off of what's reality and what's in his imagination, because you're really not sure. Yeah. And they do that several more times, like redo, you know, they hit the reset button, and then there's another scene in the transporter room where they take you for two more rides.
That's a bit different, and I'll talk about that when we get there. But this one really was kind of, I viewed it as almost like a cheat that he's not there and then he shows up.
Well, I have a suspicion.
Okay.
That, you know, they revealed that he has also aromatic syndrome, like Picard did.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Picard, when that became an issue at the in All Good Things, he was seeing different parts of future. I know part of that was the end of the story, but I'm just saying, I wonder if he's having a similar kind of thing where he's seeing alternative futures.
Well, again, all of that is possible if, in fact, this is what the problem is that he has. And I guess I'm not completely convinced that's what's causing all of this. But
no, but they made a point to bring that out. And yeah. I mean, I think part of that was also to kind of have Jack relate to Picard a little bit more, you know, because they both have. So
we can relate. I'm going to make sure that you have a deadly disease.
He doesn't have it anymore. Yeah. No, but anyway, I
Shaw lightened up. You know, as he was happy to see them going. It's like, I'm having a good day. You guys are going to the clink.
I know. No, that was kind of funny.
One thing we saw, which I thought was interesting, is the Titan is repairing itself, and you get to see all those little bots kind of buzzing around the ship, doing the repairs.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
You know, they don't make a big deal about calling it out. It's just kind of there in the background.
Yeah, we haven't really seen those except for in the
Discovery,
Star Trek. Well, that and the Star Trek shorts.
Well, I think Strange New Worlds at some
Enterprise.
point. Didn't Strange New World at some point have them, but very briefly in some shot? I might be confusing it with one of the short treks. But
they were like I said, they were implied to be on a TOS ship.
Oh yeah, well, if they're on Pike ship, presumably they're on.
No, on the Star Trek short. Remember, they were on the Enterprise. The one where they had the berth.
Right. The animated one.
Yeah.
Well,
they had one of those robots there, and anyway. So yes, it was implied that they were in TOS as well.
But yes, then we have Riker reinstate Shaw, and Shaw is just the lovely person that he always is. He says, "Oh, by the way, I already contacted Starfleet about all this stuff, and they're on their way."
He's such a warm soul.
Yeah, he does the nice thing of just saying, "Do you want to be reinstated or not reinstated, Seven?" When you're faced the music, he says reinstated, and he does this knighting type thing. I reinstate you. He's just,
taps her on the shoulders.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because in that scene, a couple of other scenes in the prior episode, he knows his station. He doesn't object to stuff. Once he's removed, he doesn't confront really the command staff all that much, and he just keeps his mouth closed. And it wasn't this scene as well until he was reinstated. Then he was just good old, Captain Shaw again at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting that he was keeping his distance. I mean, he was like, well, let them screw it up. I won't have anything to do with it. He was in his room reading a book or something,
Mhm.
hanging out.
And then we get to spend some time.
He was listening to our podcast. That's what he was
Yeah,
doing.
exactly. That's what he was doing. Saying, I'm going to give him some new catchphrases.
No.
So then we cut to Rafi and Worf, who are doing their practice.
Calisthenics. I don't know what you call that.
Warfisthenics.
They're practice fighting. So I'm assuming they're supposed to be, honing their skills. Although clearly Worf sees Rafi is not that honed, because there's one point where he's got one hand behind his back.
Yeah.
Fending off everything.
Doing the fencing thing,
Yeah, it's like he gave up. He not gave up, but he just took a break.
Yeah.
Like the Princess Bride.
Yeah, that's right.
And we get a bit of foreshadowing, talking about how weakness, discovering an enemy's weaknesses and playing off against those, which will come back.
I thought they did a bit too much recap to get to this Kryn character.
Yeah, that's one of my problems with the 2 episodes. So I'm going to mention it now because we're going to keep going through this.
Here we go.
Is that how many times did we have to learn that Daystrom Station is guarded by a very sophisticated AI system? We get that 2 times in this episode and 2 times in the next episode before we ever get to Daystrom Station.
I'm sorry, what? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's adaptable.
Yeah.
Apparently neither did they, because they went in anyway.
Yeah.
But we find out that Worf's handler says, yeah, you can't go to Daystrom Station. I'm not going to give you authorization to do it. You got to find some other way to get there.
So how, my question about the Titan is, how did the Changeling get aboard?
Well, we have the answer to that question. The answer to that question is what Beverly discovers, is that you can go virtually undetected, because
she said something that made no sense to me. She said they have no DNA, which means they can't. They could pass a traditional blood test. What traditional blood test are you using that doesn't test for DNA?
A space one.
It's like, it's
test.
red.
Well, I think that is the traditional test, right? The traditional test, which Ro uses in the episode.
She cuts her hand and goes, it's red.
Which is what well, that's what they would do on Deep Space Nine. They would go into meetings and they would cut to prove that they were
the 24th century. That is like straight out of Supernatural.
Wait a minute.
Let's cut our hand and make a pact. It's like
every movie in history, they always go for the hand first.
Right. That is a terrible place to cut.
I know.
You don't need that for anything. I'm sure it's fine.
There goes Chuck. He goes away.
Someone kicked me off the stream.
I was gonna say the show increased its quality for a moment.
No. I don't. You can't get rid of me that easily.
All righty. Scrolling through the.
Well, wait a minute. I was gonna say, Ro cut her hand, right?
Yes.
And she bled.
Yep.
But there was no test, because the corpse that Beverly was looking at, she cut it and it started to bleed right away.
Yes, but Ro didn't know that at that point, and neither did Picard.
I know. Right. I'm just saying that from our point of view, that's not really a test.
Did you think Ro was a changeling?
I considered it heavily there. I thought so.
Why did Picard turn the safety protocols off in the holodeck?
Because he didn't trust her. He wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah, he wasn't 100% sure for sure. What? For sure?
And I think, as the outside observer, we're looking at things that he might not be looking for. Because he was really more all about rage, that he was so upset with her for what she had done, that I don't think he was really thinking all that straight about stuff.
Right.
Well, I suspected her because her crew came in on shuttles. And it's like, if we suddenly discovered, hey, we can't detect him with a standard blood test, let's upgrade the filters on the transporters. So what do? They come in on shuttles. Well, there's a red flag if there ever was one.
Well, on the bridge, they made a point that they even say she requested a shuttle. Oh, really? Or the security officer requested a shuttle. Wow, that's unusual. I was like, oh, yeah, it's because you got changelings coming over, which
Right.
they did. There was two of them with her.
Coming to dinner.
That's right.
There
Had
was
at least two of them.
Yeah.
So we have the Intrepid show up.
Wait a minute. Go back to your previous slide if you don't mind. I'm sorry.
Sure, not a problem. Beep.
I was interested in seeing
Morn and Gloria.
Worf's contact list here. Brunt.
Brunt
I did not see that. Brunt and his brother is at the top, right? Not Morn. I mean Morn, not his brother. Morn though. Morn and Brunt were showing up there.
And also was O'Kona. Was
That's
also
right.
There. So yeah, what exactly? How is this database arranged? First of all, they're not in order,
not alphabetical. Not.
And so there is the association kind of somehow these characters all linked in some way to Kryn.
Well, it's maybe. I don't know. You did a search. These are the results.
I know if you go ask more, and he'll tell you in like detail, just like ramble on for 20 minutes about it. But
you can't shut him up.
Never shuts up. Oh my god.
I don't know. So yeah, that was quite an interesting mix of people. So meanwhile,
hey, that's why they call him Motormouth Morm.
I know. That's why you don't want to give him too many drinks because just
how did this ship come to a stop right next to the Titan? I mean, I understand inertial dampeners keep you from flying into the windshield when this thing stops. But how do you plot a course and say stop at this? You'd think they'd come in nearby planet and kind of cruise in on impulse power for a few minutes.
And actually, and I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but later on, 3 ships show up around that little beacon drone, and I was like, they all went shoo, shoo, and they look like they're very close together too, all 3 of them.
Just to give you that sharks in the water circling the prey feel.
You think they go shoo, and then they would just kind of drift or go to where they're needed to be.
So I think the technical answer is they need the beauty shot. That's why that's why it came in like that.
All right.
I'm going to ask Dr. Aaron Mack on this one.
It's also a case where these 2 episodes, I felt like we had padding. I didn't feel like we had padding before. And this is one of those cases where it's an extremely long shot. You see the Titan, then you see the Intrepid warp in, stop, and then it slowly pans around between the 2 ships. I'm going, okay, we got that they're right near each other. Got that. Why are we lingering on the shot for so long?
Just for beauty.
It's
probably to stretch it out just a little bit to, because in the next episode, there's some stretching out, which some of it was good. Some of it was kind of, okay, we're stretching this out.
Stay on this episode, Craig. We're not done.
I know. Yet. I'm just saying, I'm just saying we're going to get to that too, but they're stretching it out a bit for time because they had to record 10 hours worth of stuff, and they probably had to figure out what worked and what didn't. Although, by the way, the Intrepid, it was a beautiful ship too.
Yeah, kind of a different take on it, having the connector at the back of the ship rather than at the front.
Yeah, the neck. Kind of interesting.
And here we have another scene where Shaw's being a complete jerk to Riker and Picard in the turbo lift. Kind of, he's chipper. He's feeling chipper. Shaw's feeling chipper.
Hey, I like how you got imposters and it has just a picture of those 3 guys. I like Liam's like, he's all enjoying himself. He's ready for things to hit the fan.
Yeah, because he rattles off all the things that, in his mind at least, are things that, well, you saved the universe from this thing, but you also put it in peril for that thing. So it's kind of like a chicken and an egg type of deal with you guys.
He called him out. He sure did. Yep.
But I mean, did they really have any choice but to land the saucer on the planet after it was damaged? Okay, I can see where those are things that went bad, but I don't really think anybody did that on purpose.
I was hoping Riker was going to say that too soon.
Yeah. No, I should say, talk to my wife about the landing on the planet part. I don't
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to do it, that part of it.
That's right.
And then, yes, then we get the reveal that we have that Roll Aaron is going to be the person that's going to be interrogating Riker and Picard. Interestingly enough, not Seven, which I thought, even Shaw is talking about the fact that she's going to have to face the music. She was definitely involved in all this plotting, and they don't even call her to be in with these other two. Even Shaw does not bring Seven along as well, which I thought was a little weird. I mean, and we know in the episode she has other things to do, but really after making that big deal about reinstating her, why did he not have her also coming along? So they go off to interrogation, and Bev and the chief medical officer, who has one line in the entire episode, are doing. I felt so bad for her because Beverly is just doing all the talking and she's just nodding.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a thing. That's a thing.
Which is funny because she didn't like Beverly when she first walked in the plane in the ship.
So, I see. She's giving her the silent treatment now.
Yeah,
that's the deal. But they have to verify the identity of the changeling, which was killed by Seven in the previous episode, and it's still in the form of Sidney LaForge. So they bring in Sidney LaForge to identify the body, that it's not her.
And Sidney tosses her cookies.
Yep, big time. And Bev just says, okay, so she's verified that.
I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they weren't more upset that she got sick on the floor right in the middle of.
Well, it's a very unique situation she's put in there. It's not often you look at your own body and go, "Is that you?"
Yeah.
No, that's a little weird.
It's like the Chuck says sometimes. If you're like me, and I know I am.
Yep.
I always wanted a twin.
Well, I mean, no, I was kind of kidding, but when Sydney turned and she kind of
tossed her cookies
on the floor, they both just kind of said, "Okay, I'll take that as a yes." It wasn't like, "Oh, it wasn't like we weren't expecting." They didn't react to it.
We have bots to clean that up. It's
think about the fact also that they're probably used to if you have to identify a body, you'll bring somebody in, even if it's obviously not their own, not themselves, but a civilian or somebody coming in to identify a body often has a kind of a tough reaction to that. And I can't imagine. I think they think, all right, let's cut a little bit of extra slack because she's looking at herself dead.
No. So. I meant that the doctor and Beverly didn't have more reaction. They just kind of looked over and they just turned around. It wasn't like, oh, she's getting sick.
No, that's why I'm saying I think that they're used to people kind of.
Oh, they're used to. I'm sorry.
That they've seen it many times because they're on ships where people are killed and somebody has to identify a body, and that person comes in and probably does exactly the same thing.
Oh yeah, okay.
Maybe there was even a bucket already sitting over there on the side.
If it were lower deck, they would have gone, "I win, pay up."
She threw up in a changeling's bucket.
Yeah, there you go.
The changeling goes, "What the hell?"
Circle of life, man.
Sleep there tonight.
Circle of life.
Who's been in my bucket? Yeah.
You can have some of your own goo. Raising goo for you.
All right, let's move along.
Moving on.
Yeah,
you brought it up. No pun intended.
No, Sydney brought it up. Yeah. All right, then we have another one of Jack's visions here that he goes. Now, in this one,
transporter accident.
He walks into the transporter room because then when he snaps out of it, he's standing in the transporter room. So this one, I didn't have that kind of weird. Well, how does he see this stuff? We're seeing everything from his point of view. He walks into the transporter room, people are getting on the pad, and then he has this vision of that same kind of vine thing happening as people are they're red vines. They're not
red vines are going to make $1 million on this show or get trashed.
Or Twizzlers is going to say, no, they were really Twizzlers.
As they're beaming out, they scream.
Yes. One thing I noticed, I went back and I listened to the audio several times. I think this is just a continuity weirdness, but the person in the transporter room says, okay, for to step up or something like that.
Mhm.
5 people get up there, and the 5th person, who's the person who's on the, if you're looking at the screen on the right-hand side, is a Vulcan, and the Vulcan is in this uniform that does not fit them. If you look, it's all baggy, and the arms are way too long in it. So that's a 5th person. And then later on in the episode, when they have the red alert at the very end of the episode, they drag that who should have been gone by now. Somebody in the transporter room grabs that character off of the transporter pad and hauls him back into the room. I'm thinking, why was he beaming back and forth to the Intrepid?
That's
He
cool.
just likes beaming back and forth.
He does. It's a lot of fun for him. I like to be scattered everywhere.
It's logical to keep doing this because I enjoy it.
So speaking of that, speaking of logic, the next one we find out is that Kryn is a Vulcan.
Yeah.
He's a Vulcan from Arrow. No, that's just
What?
the actor played.
Yeah,
the actor was on.
He's been around. I went. We have seen him so many times that I went to his IMDb page and went, "Yep,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
yep."
Well, yeah, and I liked how he logically
about
was
paradise.
happy about his crime. You know what he does.
Yeah, well, he said, you can't have paradise without, a seamy underside. I'm going, really? Are you
Yeah.
sure about that?
Have you read about Paradise?
Have you tried?
You been to Paradise City on Nimbus 3?
No. Don't go
No,
there.
stop that, or I'll be doing a Cindy LaForge.
Yep.
But yeah, he's a bit upset because the Ferengi was his brother, and the Ferengi got himself decapitated.
Yep. Well, sort of. He had some help by one of our
from
friends.
Worf.
Yeah. That's right.
But his accent seemed to kind of come and go.
Mhm.
It wasn't so much in the first scene. The second scene, he seemed to have more of an upper crust accent.
Yeah.
He was an elite Vulcan.
Right.
And yes, we find out from Beverly, we go back to the autopsy because we're cutting back and forth with these different storylines, that it's only under intense dissection that the organs that the changelings are able to mimic from humans start to break down. So we see her cuts one of these organs open and it starts to ooze and just lose its shape completely.
I had a
Yeah.
steak like that once. It was terrible.
Oh, it was very, very, very raw.
You start cutting into it and it just sort of melted on the plate. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe it was a changeling. Have you ever thought
Maybe-
about that?
Maybe it was.
It's
I think
for dinner.
I think he actually had Jello. It wasn't a steak. It was
Right.
a Jello in the shape of a steak.
This changeling is a little raw. Could I have the Kelpian instead?
Oh, too soon, man. Too soon.
No. Oh.
Try the
So we have-
ganglia.
We have more discussion between Ro Laren and Picard about, what's the deal with your son, and Picard just not wanting to answer any questions. He just wants to know, how did Ro Laren get herself back into Starfleet?
They went from the ready room or the interrogation room, to the holodeck. They wanted a more private place. And Picard says, put on some music. And the music lasted all of 5 seconds. It's like their conversation.
They only had so much rights to the music,
I went, what happened to the music? You're not drowning anything out. So we're going to have a cup up to the door and go, I can hear you.
He didn't have a subscription to Spotify, so he could only do this.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe-
Just sampling.
He didn't want to listen to the commercials.
Yeah.
But fortunately, when they went into the holodeck, the screen with the safety protocols button was right there, ready to be turned off.
Yeah.
Of course.
Hey, wait a minute. How safe is that?
Yeah, it's just a button you push. It's
He had his user ID, so he was already authenticated. So
Hey.
it's safe.
That's the equivalent of having a gun with the safety. It's just always right there to be able to turn it off. It's like,
Craig, that's not how most guns work. You have a safety that's ready to
I'm
turn
saying
off.
he didn't like have to give it a password or something.
Well, that wouldn't have worked because Ro would have seen that coming a mile away. Could you see that scene playing out with that?
I know.
Computer, disable safety protocols, authorization, Picard, Alpha 47 Tango. Like that would have drawn it out, and she would have seen it coming a mile away. Why
By
are
the
you
way-
turning the safety protocols off?
And by the way, I think Picard needs to change his password after all these years.
Yeah.
It's been breached.
But we get
They all
confirmation
have.
that this is Guinan's bar from 2024 because the holodeck program is 10 forward 2024.
Yep.
Those were the days.
Those were indeed the days. So they have a mutual venting to each other on the holodeck and come to the realization that they are both who they say they are, that they're indeed both human, because actually they get a lot of emotion out of each other. And Picard comes to realize that, well, I think we're definitely who we say we are. So the guard is down, and that's when Ro opens up about why she's actually there.
Starfleet has been compromised, to which
To the
I
highest
went,
level.
again.
I know. We get some bad admirals in here
Hey.
as well. We just got everything.
If it was not the changelings in it, was those little worm things that we saw?
Bugs.
Yeah.
That would have been. That could have been an interesting twist too.
Could have been.
We're seeing familiar territory
Hey,
again. And
we're wrapping everything else up. Bring them in too.
So she says that, and she starts questioning about what Picard knows about Frontier Day. And Picard says, oh, mentioning once again for the 12th time, it's kind of like Sidney LaForge about her father. Yes, I was scheduled to speak at Frontier Day. And we later learn out why he keeps mentioning that again and again and again and again and again.
We get it. Frontier Day's coming.
Call her off if you wear your plaid shirt. Come on down to Frontier Days. No.
But they're up to speed on what's happening, but things are not going so well back on Metalis because, hey, Rafi kills Worf.
Dun dun dun.
I know. I was like, how are they going to play this
Because
off?
Kryn makes them fight to the death. Why did he convince them to fight to the death?
Because it was basically for his amusement and to make, just kind of gave more leverage of him over whoever was left.
Wait. Vulcans do not have amusement.
Well, he seemed to enjoy himself. I don't know.
He's been hanging around Cybok. Oh, that's 2 references in one show. We're done.
He was, kind of giving odds on who was going to win the fight. So he seemed to be getting, some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah,
but it turns out that Worf,
he knows the practice of Kalas something or other to stop your heart or make it go real slow and simulate death. But then, they drag his body off. He sneaks around backstage and comes out and pulls a knife on Kryn. To which Kryn says, it would be logical to give you the decryption device.
Yes, after he gives another complete breakdown about Daystrom Station and the AI and that he's got a key.
What's AI? Okay.
Let's put together our own highlight reel and just say that thing like 4 times in case you missed it. This is turning into a National Geographic show. After every commercial, you have to reiterate what happened up to that commercial.
And keep in mind, this show already has a recap. So you don't, if you want to do that, put it in the recap.
Actually, I think AI actually wrote the script because it keeps mentioning itself.
I see. And Midjourney did all the graphics. There's your explanation right there.
That's right.
But yes, so another question I have, because we come to the scene where Ro is going to go back to the Intrepid, and she has left Picard with a skeleton crew. Now, my question is, all right, she suspects people on board the Intrepid, and she has brought most of the crew of the Titan over there. Has she just Has she basically just signed their death warrants?
Well, they show her in the shuttle, but she's with 2 changelings who plant a bomb and beam out. Yeah. So where did everybody else go? Were they beaming over to the Intrepid?
Well, the people on the transporter pad, so those people that were leaving, that while some people were beaming over to the Intrepid, Jack had his vision about, things going on in the room. So slowly, because Rose says that she is going to have most of the crew when she first comes in to interrogate Riker and Picard, that most of the crew is going to be sent over to the Intrepid, and that there's just going to be a few people left on board. So that ends up what's happening. But I'm thinking those people are going to be killed.
Yeah.
Why? But that's what she does. She does, however, also give Picard her Bajoran earring.
Yep.
And we think it's a sentimental
nice
gesture.
Yep.
And it definitely is moving to Picard as she's leaving. But that's all we make of it. And she gets on board the shuttle with the two security officers who we've pretty much nailed as being changelings by this point because of their intensity of searching the ship for Jack Crusher. But as soon as they're headed back, they beam off and they blow up the ship. No, I'm kidding. They don't blow up the ship. They put a timer on it because why would you
not?
Put a timer on it?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
To give Ro enough chance to get to the port nacelle of the Intrepid and
That's actually
disable them.
That's actually a countdown to the end of the show. It's like, come on.
So I couldn't figure out the language in it because she looks back at it and says, I don't have enough time.
It's the same graphics that they were using when the changeling blew a hole in the, whatever, there was a warp conduit on the Titan.
So are they founder? Is it a language that the founders use? I'm trying to figure out what language this is that she can tell how much time is left on that thing.
Who knows?
Hebrew? I don't know.
Terry Metalis knows.
Yeah, but she takes the opportunity to call back to the Titan and say, Jean-Luc, you must carry on. Here I am on the widescreen camera. Because look at the width of that camera coverage on that thing.
I know.
And
that's like a 16 by 30.
They like back that into space, taking that picture of Ro Laren in there. So she is going to buy them some time by ramming her shuttle into the nacelle, the port nacelle of the Intrepid. And apparently the Intrepid is fine with that because they
don't try to stop her by shooting her out of the sky.
They know there's a bomb on board.
Yeah, they know there's a bomb will take care of her.
Yeah, there's a bomb on board and everyone has beamed off and they know what the timer was set for, but instead they're just going to sit there and not put up shields, not do anything, just kind of be fine with it.
We needed that emotional moment. There were a few of them in both of these episodes.
Well, as she got hit, you get
lost connection.
Lost. Yes.
We lost connection here.
The podcast is over.
Yeah.
Which I think is meant to be, like very symbolic as well, because just before she hits, Picard says, "Oh no, I definitely see you, and I'm sorry it took me that long."
He says, "I love you."
She's getting emotional, and then connection lost, and the shuttle blows up.
Picard, I have to tell you, I have a son with you.
I have something to tell you. Yes. Now, Ro did this to buy them time, and they waste every single second of it.
Yeah.
Because they sit there trying to convince Shaw that they have to leave, and he's not buying it. And for some reason, after all of that, Riker says, "Look, you don't have to trust us. You don't have to believe anything we're saying. Just look for yourself." And he basically sees the same thing he saw before, but suddenly now it's convincing him to leave. As we see the Intrepid rise up and get ready to fire on them. I don't know what changed his mind in that couple of seconds, but he decides, okay, it's definitely time to run.
Well, the ships are coming back up to take aim.
Right, but he didn't seem concerned with that same situation like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
He's more concerned about his career.
Yeah, a captain can change his mind. Captain's prerogative.
Fair enough.
What changed his mind, though? That wasn't clear.
Yeah, I know.
Right. What is also isn't quite clear is we then have 4 changelings, the 2 that beamed back from the shuttle who have now changed their identity, and 2 that we're assuming were already on board the ship because they say we've located him and they beam directly to that location. and Jack has a vision and then suddenly is super stealth and
Right.
defeats all 4 of them in like 20 seconds.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Now that's why I say this whole idea of this Uramati syndrome being the cause of these things. No, I don't think so.
No, yeah, it's not.
No.
We didn't see Picard go all superhero.
No, but I get the feeling that for some whatever reason that Jack can tell when the changelings are near, and that's why because I'm just saying he's having kind of these visions and stuff as well.
But the question is, how does that tie in with things like him suddenly? It's almost like it's what is it? It's like Jason Bourne suddenly remembering how to do suddenly this amazing, fighting just out of no place.
He has a trigger word.
So
Bartholomew.
We definitely don't have all those answers yet, and I would not look to that condition to be the answer to the question, especially when we find out that he had no idea.
Whoa! Spoiler alert! There we go.
He had no idea that those were changelings. He says, I mean, in his right mind, it seems like he blanked out. And something kicked in, and we don't know exactly what kicked in.
He's a sleeper agent of some kind.
Well, I mean, yeah, it does kind of lend itself to that thought. And then Riker finds out that the Bajoran earring is actually a data disk, if you will,
thumb drive,
and has all the research that Ro had been doing on this conspiracy theory. And while they're sifting through it, an incoming call comes in, and it's Worf.
Hey, baby.
So we tie together.
I would like a large pepperoni pizza.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I call the wrong number?
Yeah.
But dialed again.
This was the next number of my contacts for pizza.
And he asked where Ro is, and they go, well, funny story about that.
You are not Brunt.
And that pretty much wraps up the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So any final thoughts on imposters?
Hey, that's a good-looking Klingon. That's my last thought.
I hope I look that good when I get to be an old Klingon.
Yeah, wait, what?
I'd love to see it when those ridges on your head.
All right, well, let's give our reviews on this one. What do we want to give it on Bajoran earrings? Okay, so 1 to 10 Bajoran earrings.
All right.
I will go first, and I'm going to give this. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I liked the stuff with Ro, but I felt like overall the episode was starting to suffer from 10-part series syndrome of, well, we're stretching out some of this stuff here in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was starting to feel like it at this point. So 7.5. Craig, what about you?
Well, I'm going to give it an 8. Actually, yeah, I'm going to give it an 8. But I had that kind of feeling too. I was like, okay, they're stretching a little bit, just like you were saying. So, yeah, not that my enthusiasm for this season is diminished, but yeah, that just kind of stretched it out a little bit. There was some really good stuff. Like you said, the Intrepid raising back up, and you're like, oh crap, what's going on? And it's a lot of, and I like the interaction between Worf and Ralphie. They should do a good cop, bad cop show, I swear. But anyway, so I'll give it an 8.
All right. And Chuck?
I'm going to give it a 7.5 as well. I same kind of thing. I had a lot of head scratching moments going, about the DNA test and the blood test, stopping ships. And I'm glad they finally brought the storyline of Raffi and Worf together, because it's like, we're watching these two storylines for the last several episodes going, come on, hook. Where's the connection? We know they're headed off to Daystrom with that sophisticated AI security system. Take a drink.
I didn't know about that.
What?
Take another drink.
First time hearing about this.
And Vatic is pursuing the Titan. Now we've got changelings involved. It's like, bring these two together. So they finally connected them. Again, throughout the series, we've had good music, good lighting, good acting. Story was just a little lower than expectations have set us up so far. So 7.5.
All right.
I might disagree with you on good lighting, though. I had to lighten up a lot of these pictures a lot.
Oh yeah.
On it. It's really dark.
Go watch more X-Files.
Well, I mean, I love the set, but at the same time, it is dark. It's like, come on,
It's a dark storyline.
killing my eyes.
Why? You compare the lighting on the bridge of the Enterprise D, like that was as bright as a hospital operating room.
Yeah,
And then you compare the lighting on the Titan and the Discovery. It's like, what? Why are you saving energy on the bridge?
well, not until we got to the the next generation movies, they kind of made even the Enterprise D look a little darker.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think these days darker equals cinematic.
Yeah.
That's why we'll go on with that. All right, let's move on. We'll try to do a bit faster, and I don't think that's going to be a problem with the next episode. So, Craig, you want to give us a little bit of information on that?
I loved it, and I'll give it a. Oh, you mean read
You
it?
gotta read this. You got to read the synopsis.
You said be quick. All right, so this is The Bounty. This is season 3, episode 6, written by Christopher Monfett. Is directed by Dan Liu, and the synopsis is: now on the run, Picard and the skeleton crew of the USS Titan must break into Starfleet's most top secret facility to expose a plot that could destroy the Federation. Picard must turn to the only soul in the galaxy, an AI, who can help, and which is an old friend.
All right, so we've got our stories as Chuck had mentioned, they're starting to merge together, and including the fact that at the beginning of the episode, after an absence of a couple of episodes, we get to see the Shrike back again.
They made it out of that nebula, I guess.
Right, and very slowly. Now, I don't know if they were able to retrieve their portal weapon or not. That's unclear, but they're off on the same wild goose chase as the rest of the changelings are, because the Titan is putting out all these different transponders, which are giving false locations for the ship.
I thought that was kind of interesting. At first, I was like, what are we looking at? And it said Titan. And then you see the ships start showing up. And I was like, oh, okay. It's a fake beacon. It reminds me of, what was it on Firefly? They would let out the crybaby, which was a little signal thing to kind of make it look like they were where there weren't. So,
and although we don't see much of Vatican this episode, I mean, we'll see, she kind of bookends the episode. We do get to see her do a classic villain bit, because she says, I don't want to hear from anybody else about how, we can't locate Picard and, blah, 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 blah. And then one of the crew happens to say that exact thing, and they're gone.
Yeah.
But she didn't pull the trigger. She just nodded to the other guy, and he pulled the trigger. But
right, he says, okay, I got you covered here.
Yeah, I could just picture the Klingon, melting on the console.
Nobody else on the crew liked that crewman either.
So her setup is that she now wants to know basically every person Picard has ever known and where they live.
That's how we introduce Barclay.
Yes, but not right now. So it's good to see her back, because we were wondering, well, was that the last we were going to see? That would seem like kind of a waste to have that happen, but we do see more of her. But we also then find out what Beverly believes is the cause of all the problems Jack is having, because he inherited
rheumatic
syndrome from his dad.
It says on the screen, Sisson Gayed Lanimrat.
It says terminal diagnosis, but it's backwards.
Oh,
that's what it's see-through.
Stupid glass screens.
I thought it was a new species they found.
I don't know what to make of that being a plot point, because as we've talked about, I'm not convinced that that is what's going on here, that it might be a somewhat
it seems like
but
it seems like a focal point enough. That's why I'm, it's cluing me in. Like, okay, where they're throwing it in your face enough, like the AI at Daystrom. I'm like, okay, this is an important thing. So,
right.
Was it to draw Jack and Jean-Luc closer together? It's like, oh, we've got this thing in common, and I've been fine for years. How'd you beat it? I didn't. I became an android.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, get an extra body from me. Well, nope.
yeah,
Well, actually,
he said something like that. Does it come in? Do you wear my size or something? Like, I'll take that body.
You should
Right.
say, well, funny thing, but check back with me at the end of the episode and we can talk some more about that.
That's right.
He did say a line to maybe I was doomed before I was even born.
Yeah. So I don't know if it really brought them closer together per se.
No.
But...
Yeah. Later he says, I'm the guy who says hurtful things he wishes he could have taken back in the holodeck.
Yeah.
So they are trying to flee, and Picard says that they should flee to essentially the location of Starfleet's museum, which is an interesting concept for a place, and we'll talk more about the museum itself.
You jumped ahead.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Because first comes back is Raffi and Worf.
Right. And Worf disses on Chateau Picard.
Yeah, it's
sour meat.
Mash, sour mead. It's rather tart.
Well, at first I was like, what is he talking about? And then even Riker goes, your wine. I was like, oh. That's wrong.
And Beverly gets all the hugs this episode because she goes over and hugs Worf.
Are we going to have to come up with a new label on the Chateau Picard or get a t-shirt that says sour meat?
Right.
I did notice more so in this episode than the others, and it's probably there. I just didn't notice it. But we have that shaky cam that they started using in The Office, and it makes Donna nauseous when people do that.
I don't like that. I don't
like it either. It's supposed to like heighten the tension, but it's a warm reunion scene in the transporter. We don't need any tension here.
What you need to do is you need to record the episode and run it through a stabilizer and then show it to Donna.
Shame on you, director, for doing that. Well, you can't necessarily stabilize it when you're shooting over the shoulder of one actor and they're in the foreground and the other one's the background and you're like shaking all over. It's like, hold the darn thing steady. This was not a good call, director.
The other day I saw them stabilize the Sasquatch movies, which I was like,
Patterson film again.
Yeah, I was like,
just a guy walking,
and this Bruder film.
Yeah, once they stabilized it, I was like, oh yeah, that's just a dude in the suit.
Yeah, totally,
for sure. Totally. Hey, but I did think there was one thing in this episode was interesting. I want to say at least twice, but I think 3 times we had a reunion of characters that were all in a row facing each other. Wasn't like they were mingling or anything.
Yeah, I was not a big fan. Maybe because I'm noticing now it's the same director of both these. I'm not a big fan of this director. I felt like a lot of what Riker was doing, Jonathan Frakes, it's like he didn't have his lines down, and we know he certainly can have his lines down. I feel like there was some behind the scenes stuff going on in this episode. This one lesson just didn't feel right. And that since most everything else is the same, I'm going to assume it's the director that
it felt like, something was off in this episode. When Riker makes that comment, excellent use of the word burgle, Admiral. I went, that's just too much. He seemed to have crossed a line at that point. I'm okay with the brotherly stuff.
I agree. He thought it was.
That's right. He nodded.
Yeah.
That line could have been taken out of the script and the scene still would have worked just fine.
Yeah. They're all old friends. Of course they're going to make little jokes like that.
They've been doing that. They've made that point though. This was just like a bridge too far for me.
Yeah. Well, got to do some padding in there. And one thing I was very disappointed in, about what your guys' feeling is, but the interactions between Raffi and Seven are few, far between, and completely unsatisfying.
Yeah, they were awkward in the transporter scene. I gotta point one other thing out. They get to Daystrom. Wouldn't the changelings have expected them at some point to go to Daystrom?
Yes, but since they would be expecting them to, they'd be
Nobody's
expecting them to not
there.
go, and that would mean that they wouldn't, and so they would, but they
If I
wouldn't.
put the
They might.
poison in your glass, then you
Exactly.
would have expected me to poison my own liquid, which would have made you
Yeah.
think that I knew that you knew that I knew the poison was in my glass. Okay,
Because
yeah,
I'm
They
the-
don't want to get involved in a ground war. Essentially, is what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I felt like there was so many missed opportunities for the scenes between Rafi and Seven
Yeah,
that we don't
I-
know what happened, and now we still don't have any
Right.
idea about anything.
Well, that was my point. Was we don't know what their situation was when they were not together. So it would be a little awkward. Yet they seem slightly happy to see each other, but it's still a little awkward.
and
So-
and Worf comes up with the line about I've been in many battles with
Lovers.
with lovers. And he goes, oh, good. I was practicing deceit.
That's right. I was practicing.
So Rafi and Worf, what are the odds? But they give a briefing on Daystrom Station.
And
discuss-
what do they say?
They discuss how it's guarded
It's
by
run-
a
it's run
sophisticated
by-
AI system.
No, I heard that it was running by Commodore 64.
Oh well, I must have missed that.
Well,
So
they
I must have-
also brought up, we discovered changelings. And if this were a meeting at work, which it was for them, like this is a work meeting, they're on a mission. I fully expected Picard or Riker to go, yeah, we know about that. Skip ahead a bit.
Well,
They
we
should
as the
have.
audience, I know me as the audience felt that way because it's like, okay, we've established that over many episodes. Both sets of people already know that.
Yeah.
Why are we going over that again in this briefing meeting?
Well,
It-
but just like Chuck was saying, I could understand why maybe Worf and Rafi were going to talk about that, and then have some like Riker or somebody go, yeah, we too, let's move ahead, kind of thing.
But no, they just sat there and said, "Oh, that's interesting." Didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Oh, really?
You
know.
don't say.
Say.
Oh, I do. I do say.
What?
Yeah.
But since they have the key to get into the main area where the manifest is going to be kept, which apparently they know exactly where that is, they
Somehow.
decide they're going to go to the station, and they'll have an hour because rather than stationing anybody on the station, they just check in on it every hour. Where is the ship that just kind of goes someplace and comes back every hour?
It's got several
check.
stations already. He's making the rounds.
I guess. He's got a
Carl,
little set
the
of
security
keys.
guy,
He's got a little
budget
check
cuts,
off.
man. He used to have somebody stationed there till the Federation had budget cuts, and now Carl has to manage several stations, and he only gets there once an hour.
Oh, Carl. So they
Stupid
go
Carl.
beaming over, and of course Worf says, "Well, I'm just different disciplines now." And Riker, as we saw in the trailer, says, "We're all gonna die."
die.
Yeah, that was
Just
pretty
he's
funny.
beaming out, and he made another point of that. Like, what happened to you? You used to come back from that. That he wasn't real happy with the new Worf, and he made that abundantly clear.
Twice. He even said something about that later. Is like, oh yeah, I don't understand this world anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they beam over to Daystrom, first of all, it's the most lax, high security entryway because apparently you can take all the time you want to identify yourself before it starts to get upset about it, because it asks them like 5 or 6 times before they pull the plug to then trip the alarm. And if the alarm is like, okay, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to identify.
Right.
It's like, why would you need the key? Just walk in.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have food or drink with you, you
I
can just
know.
walk right on
I
in.
thought that was funny. Remember that food to drink is not permitted in the research area.
So the Titan has to leave because the changeling infested ships are showing up, and at least they're not fooled by the fact that the Titan is behind the moon. We
Right.
see you behind the moon. So we are coming to get you behind the moon.
Well, wait. Yeah, they did. Geordi did explain that a little bit. He said
Do
that
tell.
all the ships are beacons themselves now. So when they're
That's
in
true,
close
that's true.
proximity, they already knew where you were at. That's why they had
That's
to
true.
leave. That's why they
That's
had to
true.
leave.
Now, while we're still on board Starfleet Museum, however, we see some interesting things there. And let's
Oh
point out,
my!
let's
This
point out a
was
few of
trip.
these.
Wow!
First one is
Only I
the
can.
Genesis
The
device is
device.
apparently kept there.
Did somebody build a backup? Because I thought the other one was blown up in the Motara Nebula to create the Genesis planet.
Now, I can't.
Wait,
It's unclear whether or not it could be a hologram because it's kind of weirdly shiny. You could make that
Well,
argument.
it does say Genesis 2.
Wait a minute, that's that second series by Roddenberry, though.
Yeah,
It's weird.
Unbelievable, because I have a Kirby vacuum cleaner that says Genesis 3.
Genesis 3.
Then we see
It's
explain
going to
this one
blow
to
up
me.
the whole
Hey,
house.
Why?
We see
Yeah.
Captain James T. Kirk's bones are there, apparently.
Get it?
What?
His bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would they
Where-
have his body there? I mean,
I don't
on
know. That
display.
was left on, what was it? But not Metallus 3. What's the name?
Left on the Viridian.
Viridian. Yeah, that's it. Like, okay, that someone desecrated that nice rock pile,
To store him at a museum.
just like Walt Disney.
Okay. And then a genetically altered Tribble. And this,
A
I would be
Tribble
afraid of
with
this Tribble as
attitude.
well.
I want nothing to do with that Tribble.
It's
Yeah.
got 3 mouths with teeth and some other appendages, and it
And
can
it
stick
made
to
warp-
windows.
It made warp drive. At first, I thought they were looking at a hologram or projection as well, because it's just sort of floating there in space, and all of a sudden it sucks up against the window like a ripper. Going, what? What just happened? And
I would have
the
jumped back. I don't. I,
warp
and, you
jumps.
know,
And of course,
Hard pass. Hard pass.
Riker has to chide him on that, which I thought was fun. Because
Yeah, like Riker wouldn't have
don't like
jumped.
dribbles.
yeah,
Hard pass on
Riker's
that Tribble.
Yeah, Riker was done like right at a bit hard. But as they're walking along, we then suddenly see that they are being monitored by something on board the station, because it's
Yes.
zooming in on their faces and it identifies
Listening.
Riker.
Yeah,
And
a
it's-
younger Riker. Wow,
Mhm.
that's like his driver's license from about 30 years ago.
Yeah. He never updated the picture.
That's right. Oops, sorry. I just couldn't get back to the registry. Sorry.
Yeah.
So then we get the security thing that it sends out, because it sends out, first of all, a crow.
From
what it-
Mystery Science Theater?
No, not that, not Crow T Robot. No,
Oh.
no, no,
No.
no. Then we get Moriarty showing up.
Which we knew was coming.
We
we'd
know
seen-
but we had a better, well, I shouldn't, we probably all had more elaborate ideas of what was going to be going on with Moriarty and what
Yeah,
ended
I
up
was a
happening.
bit disappointed about what they did with him in this show. I went, that's it? That's
mean,
it?
What we saw of him was not much more than what happened in the teaser.
And
when
I
they
thought
announced it.
this whole sequence, the way it played out, he's shooting at them with live rounds, and because he's a hologram, they can't shoot him, but they keep playing these little musical chords. And what was Worf says, what was that? And
it was a C sharp. Yeah.
F sharp, I think. And then later it's, a B flat, a D flat. It's music. And he's naming out these notes. And that triggers Riker's memory back to episode 1, season 1 of TNG, where he's in the holodeck. and he
Minute
needs to say
10.
that.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? So he whistles the end of Pop Goes the Weasel to defeat Moriarty. That was utterly unsatisfying to me.
So much for that advanced AI.
Yeah, it didn't
Yeah.
adapt very well.
It was interesting because it's one of those things that melody, and I've seen people play it. I should have even tried it myself, but those notes you see on the end credits,
Yeah,
that is Pop Goes the Weasel.
Okay.
We knew it
So-
was coming in somewhere.
Right. So definitely we had foreshadowed that was going to happen.
By the way, that was an interesting to show. It was interesting to show that little piece, because if you remember, TNG was not filmed in 16:9. It was not.
Right. Well, they probably
They had to
crop in.
They cropped in, I think, a little bit because
Yeah.
Riker's head was off the screen just a little bit, but they tried to make it look high def, with the rest of the show.
Right. And I think that you see much more of Data in the tree, but it's kind of a really close up where it's harder to tell that he's actually perched inside of a tree
Yeah.
on that one. So yeah, definitely a close up for that.
But I was just going, wait a minute. TNG is not a 16:9 show.
All right, we skipped over because they were flipping back and forth.
Right. So
to
the
museum at Anthem,
right, which is the old Earth space dock.
Yeah.
We have all of these ships that are there. All the historic ships are there,
they're all outside.
Yeah,
and it looks like a carnival ride at this point.
Well, they're an extra charge. That's why they're outside the museum. Well, if you want to go see the ship, you got to pay extra.
Are they keeping the good ones indoors? Because those were the good ones to me.
Well, it's almost like going and seeing like a naval ship, dock on a dock. It's a famous one, the tour.
Maybe they just rotate them around. Maybe the rest of them are inside, and they just. Although all the ones we want to see apparently are on the outside when we get there.
Ironically, when you get on the carnival ride and you ride the ship around the outside rim, it plays "Pop Goes the Weasel."
Wow!
And then you have to jump in an empty space.
That's what the Titan did.
Yeah, that's right.
But one person who's not having a good time is Geordi.
Oh my goodness!
All right,
Yes,
hang on one second.
Yep,
Go back to the external shot there.
Yep. Hold on.
So I thought this was also a stretchy scene, where they were trying to fill in the gap. But
giving you eye candy, Craig.
Yeah, the other part as well, which we'll get to, where Seven
naming them
and Jack.
I'm sorry, that's what I was thinking of. Go ahead. Yeah. We'll get to that in a second. Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is another thing I had a real problem with. Geordi and
Alondra.
Alondra, thank you. Geordi is now our third permutation of I don't want to do the thing because it's risky.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, we've had that once with Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
We've had that once with Riker.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're doing it again. I just felt really disappointed that that's what they came up with for this time around. Like it needed to be more than that. And it wasn't. It was exactly the same thing again.
Yeah. It wasn't like, good to see you, Admiral. What do you need?
You know what? There was one review I did read that I think added a little light or made me think about this a little bit. So if you think about it, so all of these, everybody here, not everybody, but they all have children and they're worried about their children being able to take care of themselves, or pull their own weight. So LeVar didn't want his daughters in danger, yet they were willing to step up. So it is about passing that torch. But at the same time, they're all reluctant to do so because they feel like, well, it's Mom me. I got to do this thing. I got to make this right.
But that's not
my kids.
But that's not what Geordi even said. Geordi wanted to just leave.
I know. He wanted to take his daughter with him.
Before he even understood what the situation was or the risk was, he was like, I'm out.
And he also wanted to take his daughter with him.
I can understand after he finds out, whoa, no, we're not going there. Hey, Geordi, we need some fake transponders so that we can outrun these bad guys. That's when he should have said no, but he just came on board and went, no. See ya.
Again, he was wanting to take his daughters, both of them, and leave, even though one of them was totally willing to stay.
Yep.
So it's all... It's that passing the torch thing. He felt like it was too much responsibility on him. He can't protect his daughters, yet you can't do that. They gotta step up if they.
So I understand the thought. I just feel like we've already had it. We've had it with Shaw not wanting to put the crew in danger. Riker, same thing, and now Geordi, same thing. It's like
they made it very obvious. I mean, it was almost too obvious for the audience that they were having this discussion between Jean-Luc and Geordi about their kids and passing on traits. Well, we're back on Daystrom Station talking about Data and inheriting and passing on traits, and they get the hologram of Dr. Sung. It was a nice montage blendy thing but I thought it was too overt.
Yeah. So that's what's been disappointing me about these 2 episodes, that I feel like it's almost like you didn't have a good idea of what to do to get Geordi into it, and you defaulted to the thing you'd already been doing.
Well, and then they needed Sydney to talk him out. It's like, hey, you're free to go, but I'm staying here with family because that's what you taught me. My ship is my family, and she says, I'm not afraid to step up and help them. You are, and of course, we needed that moment to turn him around. Like, did we really?
And we've had some of the other characters like Jack talking, Jack having discussions with Picard about Starfleet being family and so forth and so on. So,
which he said a lot of similar things to Seven later on.
Right. Right.
I did like the scene with Jack and Seven as much as the eye candy was there on all the ships. When they got to Seven talking about Voyager, that was a nice warm fuzzy for me.
It was.
Then you get to the bird of prey, and I honestly thought Jack wanted to steal it. I thought that's like, it's got a cloaking device?
Actually,
really?
But to be honest with you, I thought that the Titan was going to be too easy of a target because of the transponder, it being in its own beacon. I thought they were literally going to take the USS Bounty.
That's what I thought too. He wanted to steal it because, hey, they're not going to be tracking a Klingon bird of prey.
Yeah, not necessarily. It wouldn't have that.
Right. Well, one assumes that all 5 of these ships, because we saw the Defiant, we saw the New Jersey, which is a classic Constitution class ship.
Yep.
We saw the Enterprise A, Voyager, and the Klingon bird of prey. So in theory, none of these ships is tied in to the system because they weren't built that way.
Yeah.
When they announced that all the ships now talk to each other, I went, wow, that's very Borg. Like, is that something the Changelings did, or is that a recent technology that Jean-Luc should have known about that Starfleet had in place? That's kind of where I went, what just happened here?
My first thought went to, well, that puts extra emphasis on what happens at the end of Prodigy. That all the ships keep showing up because they're all getting this.
Okay.
Right? They're all tied in together.
Well, even airplanes today do that. They have transponders on them. They know where they're at.
Apparently not Malaysian Airlines 370.
Not that one.
Too soon?
Too soon.
Yeah, save it for the show.
9 years.
Save it for our show. I know you probably watched the documentary.
I did watch the documentary.
See, I told you. Hey, by the way, I did love that whole montage. It was great I know it felt like a little bit of a filler, but at the same time, there was a lot of eye candy. It was great to see those ships. And Jack was like, no, that's a Defiant. I know that one. And they talk, they're just taking a moment to talk about the stuff. And then I like Seven. I was sort of say breaking down, but that's not right. But she let her guard down a little bit.
Yeah.
And realized, that was her home and her family.
And then we find out Data is the manifest. Da-da-da-da.
That's right. Well,
but
I don't know what to call him. He's not really Data.
Right. He's all the personalities in there at once. Like, I wouldn't turn that thing on. Are you crazy? Lore's going to jump out at you.
Well, it's interesting because it's even Lal is in there. And I'm wondering, well, where did they get the information for Lal from? Because, I mean, she died.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she's gone.
But I downloaded her before she left.
He's a data amalgamation.
Yeah, so you've got
he's a data aggregator.
You've got Lal, you've got B4, you've got Data, you've got Lore, and you've got
I was surprised when they mentioned Lal. I went, well, whatever really happened to her body, I guess, when they were done with it. So
you put it in the replicator and it turns back into energy.
All right, we'll sign this and send it off to Daystrom. But I thought it was interesting that they mixed them all together.
Right. And of course, we're all thinking, wait a minute, let's stop at Lore. If you're going to turn this thing back on again, let's really think about what you're doing here. But they have to take him because they've discovered he is the manifest, which is good because when they only had an hour to do the thing that they needed to do, and they're spending all of the time in that hour having this discussion about Data and watching this
Home
pre-programmed
movies from-
message. I'm going, remember the hour that you only had
Yes.
before?
Yeah.
So it's a good
That
thing.
was 2 hours ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like when they start the countdown 10, 9, 8, and then they cut away and they come back 5 seconds later. 7,
Yeah.
6. Like, what?
Yeah.
But
Um,
fortunately,
The computer's the only one talking here.
so fortunately, they are able to leave with, we'll call Data for lack of a better term, because Jack and Sydney have stolen or appropriated with the cloaking device from the Bounty.
and
Hence the name of the episode, The Bounty.
the Titan becomes cloaked. It's like, I'm reading huge EM readings, and it gets cloaked. And Geordi accuses Jean-Luc. He goes, I would never do anything to deceive you, which I thought was funny. And he says, do you know how many Federation protocols, or what was it? How many penalties you're getting? He says, I guess I'll just have to add it to my tab.
Right, because it's illegal for the Federation to use cloaking technology. According to their, yeah, it's because that was the deal with the the Romulans probably can't really do much about it anymore, can they? So I don't know.
I did like Worf. I suspect superior
Klingon
technology.
He was right. Got to give it to him. He knew his stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting that I don't know how this cloak was misfiring, but at one point, as that first wave goes through the ship, and when they start to realize that the ship is getting cloaked, Seven goes to a console, and you can see stars on the. It's like you can see right through the ship.
Oh yeah, yeah. That I was like, whoa! I thought
I'm gonna go look again.
Yeah, it looks like you could see right through the ship. Or I think it was probably cloaking the console. You know,
I was gonna say, well, that's really making the ship disappear. It's completely gone.
You can't see it from the inside either.
It's like Wonder Woman shit. There's just a bunch of people like standing around in space.
Where did we park?
I don't know. So everybody's able to leave except for one person gets left behind
On Daystrom Station.
on Daystrom Station.
Yeah, it's Riker. He gets tagged.
He does. He gets tagged with this season's thing, which is
A transporter
inhibitor.
They like those things, don't they?
Yeah.
We've had a lot of them.
That's convenient.
I did get another warm fuzzy feeling when Geordi sees Data.
Mm.
You know, just the way he said Data.
He was smiling and then thinking of the complications there.
That was good acting from LeVar Burton. Like, hey, you could tell it's old friends meeting up, even though Data wasn't activated yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whoa, never thought I'd see this guy again. You died twice.
So we get.
I was gonna say, Data referred to himself as Daystrom Android M510.
Yes, I caught that as well.
Well, from Daystrom and M5, I would unplug them immediately.
Yeah,
because Daystrom and M5 do not have a good track.
Don't end well. Don't name your product M5. All right.
No,
yeah,
that's bad. That's bad.
I was thinking of Forrest Gump. Turning on Data is like opening a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Well, what we get is Brent Spiner's dream.
To
he
play
can be every character.
He can still bring those characters out just with the facial expressions.
He did.
That. It's like as soon as he grins, it's like there's lore. As soon as he went into his B4, like, yep. It's like,
yeah. And he did Data. He had that kind of thing with his mouth, like.
Law's going to be the tough one to pull off, I think. You know, that's going to be the challenge.
You never know, man.
Play.
Yeah.
We also found out that he has, at least as far as I'm concerned, a new skill. He's also a projector.
Projector eyes. Yes. Binocular projector eyes.
That would have been convenient back in the day.
Yeah,
but because takes a long time to warm up and focus, apparently.
It does. Well, he's just been turned on. So he's,
the bulb has been burned out for all these years. They just finally replaced it.
Because they keep saying, what is...
It's like Clinton's old TV. It has to warm up.
Yeah, they keep saying, so what got stolen? And Data keeps looking, saying Jean-Luc Picard. Yes, we know, but what got stolen?
Yeah.
Jean-Luc Picard. So
yes, I'm right here.
So apparently, because they have Kirk's body, you also have
They
to have
also Picard's
body.
Because why not? When you get jumped into an android, you don't leave your old trunk behind.
Well, when the image was fuzzy and it was fading in, I was like, why does that look like Odo? You know, just before this shot that you got in the screen, just before that, I was like, why?
Not where my mind went. I thought it was an adult plaything.
Oh my.
And it turns out to be a bald Jean-Luc going, that was close.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
face palm suddenly going on here.
Oh.
So we jump back to the Shrike. Riker's getting tortured by a changeling that turns into Vadic, because you think it's one of these, bird people, whatever it was. No, it wasn't a bird. It was somebody with holes in their face.
Right.
And then it turns into Vadic.
Right. And he says, yeah, I'm not going to give up any information. I have loyalty of 35 years. Why would I screw my secrets to you?
Yeah.
And the show ends with them revealing that they've got Deanna. Or do they?
Right. How do you know it's
Deanna? I was instantly skeptical going, it might not be her, but he thinks it is based on the expression on his face, or maybe he's leading them to believe. Here we go again, round and round.
You know what? I have a feeling he's going to use
a Sicilian.
I think he's going to probably talk about his son to her or use that to find out if that's a changeling or not.
Right. Because he wouldn't have any other way to figure out if she is a changeling other than to details that would get emotional reactions and
like the Federation might have information on their daughter, but their son died a long time ago. Maybe not. So when Vadic was wanting to know, I want to know all the information about blah, 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 they may not know that. So he can use that as a.
And I was thinking that Imzadi might be another one that might trip up a change.
Booty. And she it's not, it's the wrong word.
Yeah.
And then,
So we'll have to see. I'm not sure. I think we were all left going, because we had that same feeling about Roe, and gut reaction was, I'm not sure.
Hey, they said at the beginning, they said, trust no one. So we're doing just that.
Also, if there are any changelings still left on board the Titan, because how do you figure out which ones are? Every time somebody leaves the room, the person that comes back into the room, how do you know that's them?
Get Jack. He's got a changeling detector built in.
I was like, just let him roam the ship.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
Oh no!
All right.
Every day he has to sit in a chair, and they run the crew by him until he decides.
So we knew we were going to run long, and we definitely did on this one because
very long.
Yeah, a lot to talk about here. But
right, you got some more suspect chatter?
No. So let us do our ratings on this. What do we want to, what's our scale of, was it sophisticated AI systems? Let's do that. Yes. Sophisticated AI systems. So Chuck, on a scale of 1 to 10, sophisticated AI systems.
I'm going to go with an 8. Again, I was a little put off by the repetition, in certain places, the pace, but I liked the fact that they keep you guessing, trust no one. And yeah, we had some nice, friendly and familiar faces, albeit Moriarty could have been a little more fleshed out or had a better part in the show. Yeah. Maybe he comes back. I don't know, but it seemed a little too easy to defeat him. So I'm going to go with an 8.
Okay. All right. And I think Craig, you'll be next.
All right. I'm going to go with 8.5 because again, I thought it worked out pretty well this episode. I know the repetition about the AI thing. Yeah, but you're right. I was like, wow, they're really bearing down on that AI. But I love the interaction between Jack and Seven, and even Jack and LeVar's or Geordie's daughters.
Yeah. Keep your hands off my daughter.
Yeah. Stay away from my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lining something up there. All that stuff. I thought it was great. I thought it was some good moments. Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going a half a point lower on this one, down to 7 from 7.5 from the previous one, because I'm feeling fatigue, and I really shouldn't be feeling fatigue on this story at this point. It's making me very nervous that it's starting to drift into season 1, season 2 ramble a bit. And I'm hoping that it pulls out of that. But right now it's just, I didn't like a third go at that. I enjoyed the fan service, but I thought, okay, we're really milking the fan service. Every ship that you can look out there is one that you're familiar with.
The artifacts on Daystrom. Yeah, it was. I made a note at the top. I said they should have called this one Museum. Yeah. not the Bounty. It should have been just called the Museum.
Well, I like the fact that it was called the Bounty, because you're thinking one thing, you're thinking like Jack Crusher, and no, we mean the HMS Bounty.
Actually,
so
that was the first thing I thought it was, the Bird of Prey. That's nerdy my brain went.
It's right there.
The New Jersey was new for us.
It was. Don't know what the New Jersey did, but apparently it was really important. So that's good. It was important because it looked like the Enterprise. That's why it was important.
It was the only Constellation class that didn't get destroyed.
That's right. All right. So let's move on really quickly to our Warp Speed Roundtable. And this is a very simple one, because just overall impression, but we're now more than halfway through the final season of Picard. So just an idea of either characters or situation or something. What type of spin-off show, if you were Alex Kurtzman or could pitch to Alex Kurtzman, what kind of idea for a spin-off would you want off of this?
Worf.
Worf. Okay.
More
so you
Worf.
want just Worf. You just want to have whatever it is, Worf should be in it.
Yeah. Like the Adventures of Worf, or the missions, the jobs he picks up. It was either that or Geordi at the museum, but I thought, just walking around and looking at the ships every episode might get a little old.
Yeah. And you have a dinosaur roaming around in the Easter Island statue. Come to life every night. Craig, what about you?
Night in the Fleet Museum.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that Commander Decker?
No.
It was, but not anymore.
I would have liked to seen V'ger in the Daystrom.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. I still think a Worf and Raffi show where they're fighting crime on Metalis Prime. And you can use that, by the way, fighting crime on Metalis Prime.
Ooh, I like it.
Either that, or I kind of see where they're going a little bit, because they hinted before the season started that there could be a next generation, and you're kind of seeing that. So I could see something with Jack and Geordi's daughters, and even Seven, in there. So I don't know, but Worf and Raffi.
I would like to see a series with Seven in charge of the Titan. Ooh. Because I feel like her character is kind of like Spock in a way. She's trying to balance these two worlds. She was human. She was Borg. And she's kind of having to deal with all of that. And to have her in charge of ship, maybe it's not even the Titan, maybe it's some other ship. But
yeah, I was going to say, what are you going to do with Captain Shaw?
Well, we'll see if he survives to the end. We'll see.
He's going to be around.
So that's what I would like to see. I like to see exploration of that character, because I think, especially from last season into this season, this concept of she's seen herself back as human again, and has had to make some choices about, what she is and how she interacts with other people. Mm-hmm. So I would really like to see much more of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Seven's fleshed out a little bit more, and she's in that spot. Yeah, that would be good to see. Whatever comes up, I hope she's involved, because I do like her character.
Absolutely.
A lot of people were calling for a USS Titan show, or Star Trek Titan. I was like, I think that's a little on the nose. I think they're going to have something with the newer characters, and you'll see a sprinkling of TNG from time to time.
Yeah, I think that probably sounds, because the idea that was kicking around, I was reading today, was this concept of Star Trek Legacy.
Yep.
And that kind of was that kind of concept.
Mm-hmm.
of it's about the next generation, but you still have, and it doesn't have to be just next generation. Then you can bring in other people from DS9 and Voyager into that if you want
Sure.
to.
Quark.
Quark.
Brunt.
Yeah, Brunt. Brunt gets a call out. Who would have thought that?
Star Trek Brunt.
All right, but it's about time to refill the dilithium chamber and warp on out of here. Long show, but short goodbyes. So you can find me, Clinton, at Comedy Forecast, all one word with the number 4.com. And who speaks for you guys?
Go ahead, Chuck.
You can find us by searching for Technorama Podcast anywhere you find search engines on the internet, or look for Technorama Podcast wherever you find fine podcasts. We probably won't be with the fine podcasts, but we'll be in there somewhere.
And be sure to ask your favorite sophisticated AI security system. All right.
Yeah.
It's time to hit the theme, boys. If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter at The Topic is Trek, visit our Facebook page, or visit thetopicistrek.com. Until next time, on behalf of Chuck, Kreg, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek, don't put on the red shirt. If you're a changeling, yeah, it's fine. You can put on that red shirt.
Was that an F sharp? Hey, thank you to our one viewer, whoever's been hanging on for this long. It might be Valencia that came back, and I was watching that number going, still there.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you very much. Hey,
Oh,
it was
still
Valencia.
there.
Thank you.
Hold on,
Wow.
I'm gonna ask Chat GPT how to get into Daystrom.
That's a very sophisticated AI system. It could work.
I can sell you some security override chips.
Ah.
No, you got to get the
Hey,
right ones.
I didn't
Hey,
even
Those are
mention how.
counterfeits.
What Ferengi have you been talking to? I got some too.
Yeah. Wait a minute. These are both the same seats in the same concert. Oh, man.
Yeah, row 3, seat 3970. Oh, they are. No, we already checked.
All right. We're going to end the broadcast. Thank you again for watching. And we will see you in presumably 2 weeks.
All right.
Thank you.